Coming up on the Hawkeye Sports Report, March Madness is among us. Postseason play begins this weekend for the women's basketball team. We'll take a look at who they will face, and we'll also take a look at who's bringing home all conference accolades. And this past weekend was the best to date for the softball team. Head coach Marla Looper will be by in just a bit to talk about the Hawkeyes weekend, where they went 4-0 and knocked off two opponents ranked in the top 25. And it was a blizzard on Tuesday, but that did not stop the men's basketball team from taking on Illinois. We'll have all the highlights and reaction from that contest coming up on the Hawkeye Sports Report. Hello everyone, and thanks for checking in with us for another Hawkeye Sports Report. The men's basketball team entered this week with just 2 games remaining on the season, both coming at home. Picking up wins in both would earn Iowa 20 wins on the season heading into the Big Ten tournament for the first time since the 2005-2006 season. But to get to 20, you first got to get 19. And the Hawkeyes did just that on Tuesday. Matt Nelson has the recap from Iowa's contest with Illinois.
Herky fired up. The Hawkeyes looking for win number 19 on the season, hosting Illinois. Early on, Adam Woodbury gets things going for the Hawkeyes. Woody scores Iowa's first 4 points, and the freshman finished with 8 points and 5 boards on the night. The Fighting Illini in transition, and how about this huge block by Eric May? Blocks are a theme on this night. Dev Marble with another strong evening, scoring inside and inside off the easy inbounds play as well. Then from long range. And finally, on the drive and the foul, Marble with a team-high 21 points. He is 2 points away from 1,000 for his career. Anthony Clemens with 5 off the bench for Iowa. First on the move into the lane, and then the three-pointer. Watch closely on this play. Aaron White with an outstanding pass to a cutting Gabe Olashaney. And more from Olashaney. We mentioned block shots. 2 of his 6 blocks on the night. Iowa ties a school record with 12 as a team against Illinois. The Illini cut the lead to 48-46 with about 4 minutes left, and that's when Josh Oglesby goes on a personal 6-0 run, 2 3-pointers in a row to help the Hawks ice this game. Iowa wins by a final of 63-55.
He's tried so hard to do what he did tonight all the time. It'd be different if he wasn't putting the time in, if he wasn't a great teammate. You know, that's why, you saw me hugging him, but the team really reacted to him.
All my shots tonight felt good, but that one felt good.
We all have been through it, not being able to buy a shot in games. Me, Whitey, all of us. Zach, and to be able to see him knock down big shots, not just any shot, but big shots, and have the confidence in himself to shoot them, shows a lot of his character and just how much he works on his shooting.
Our defense in both halves was what it needed to be for us to win. Last year, we would have lost 77-63.
My dad taught me one time, if you hit a wall and it hurts, don't run into it again. So when you drive, you might want to pass. Okay, we may want to adjust a little bit there. We tried to adjust, and I didn't think we did a great job of adapting and adjusting to that at all.
Just improve every day. I've been talking to the coaching staff a lot. Obviously, they know I could be a really good player, but it's just an everyday process. So obviously it's good when people acknowledge it, but you have to stay level-headed. You have to understand that we have a game on Saturday, and we have to win that for Eric May. So you just have to keep it all in perspective.
At Carver, Matt Nelson, Hawkeye Sports Report.
In the women's basketball world, the Hawkeyes are gearing up for the Big Ten tournament, which is set to be played in Hoffman Estates, Illinois, for the very first time. Iowa closed out the season winning 3 of 4 games and will have the number 7 seed in the Big Ten tournament, which begins on Thursday. Iowa will play the first game right away Thursday morning at 11:30 a.m., and they'll face a very familiar opponent in Northwestern. The team Iowa beat on the road by 17 points just this last weekend. Facing an opponent twice in a row is a unique situation in college basketball, and one that head coach Lisa Bluter and players think they can use to their advantage.
I think we're really excited about playing them again. I mean, you still have that rivalry left over from last game, and you know them really well. So, I mean, both teams have an advantage in that aspect and not so much preparation. So we're just ready to get out there and play again.
I like it because they are, like I said, really fresh in our minds. And especially after our last game, I thought we played really well against them. So it'll be a lot of fun tomorrow.
Well, it's really nice in the aspect that, we already ran all of their plays, the scout already. Just, reviewing it again, just kind of fresh in our minds. So just already having that and even playing against it, not just with, our gray squad, but actually playing against them.
The end of the regular season also marks the time in the season where postseason accolades are dished out, and despite finishing 7th in the league, the Hawks were well represented on the all-conference teams. Sophomore Melissa Dixon was named the Big Ten's 6th Player of the Year. She's only the 2nd player in school history to receive the honor. She led Iowa in scoring during Big Ten play at 12 points per game. She also led the conference in three-point field goal percentage during conference play. Senior center Morgan Johnson was named 2nd team All-Big Ten by both the coaches and the media, and was also named Iowa's recipient of the Sportsmanship Award. Johnson leads the team in points per game and has also moved up the charts in her final season to become the school's all-time leading shot blocker. She has also set the school mark in career starts, and in 2 more games will have the school record in career games played. Sophomore point guard Sam Logic earned 3rd team honors by the media and honorable mention by the coaches. Logic most recently set the school record for assists in a season. Earlier in the season, she set the school record for assists in a game. She leads the conference in assists, and she can also score and rebound too, averaging 9.2 points per game and 6.4 rebounds per game. And finally, senior Jamie Printy rounds out the Hawkeyes all-conference accolades. The senior guard earned honorable mention by both the coaches and the media. The honors have now placed her on all conference teams in all 4 years of her career. She is the only player in Iowa history to achieve this accomplishment. She's Iowa's 2nd leading scorer at 13 points per game and leads the Big Ten in free throw percentage. She will also go down as one of Iowa's most decorated players of all time. With that all being said, let's now check out this week's Players of the Week.
This week's Hawkeye Sports Report Players of the Week start with softball pitcher Kayla Massey. Friday, Massey was the winning pitcher in Iowa's 7-6 victory over 15th-ranked Stanford. She also hit a home run in that contest. Saturday, the junior fired a complete game 1 hitter against the host Cal State Fullerton Titans in the Hawkeyes' 7-0 win. Thanks to 40% three-point shooting for the week, reserve basketball player Melissa Dixon joins this week's Players of the Week pairing. Dixon scored 43 points on the week in Iowa's wins over Indiana and Northwestern. This week's Hawkeye Sports Report Players of the Week.
This weekend won't only mark the Big Ten tournament for the women's basketball team, but also the wrestling team. They had the weekend off last weekend following a very shaky national duels performance. The week off was a chance for the Hawks to regroup and refocus before this weekend's Big Ten tournament in Champaign, Illinois.
That just shows you that you got to be tough every time and you got to win the tough situations every time. And we didn't do that. So do you completely reinvent what you're doing? Absolutely not. You have to go back to getting guys feeling good. And, obviously going forward as a team is easier with a win than a loss. But at the same time, it's an individual sport that way as well. And St. John and McDonough, the results that they had, I don't think you need to dwell on that. I think they're pretty determined to make sure it doesn't happen. I feel good about our guys. I always do, always have, and that won't change regardless. And we got to have some urgency and we got to be scoring points. And in order to do that, you have to put the clamps on in situations where things are starting to get away from you or something's taking a long time. You got to do it now.
It's definitely toughened me up a little in the mental aspect. I mean, when you get those ranked guys match after match after match, that's how it's going to be at Big Tens and NCAAs. You're going to have them match after match after match.
Assembly Hall, I love wrestling in there. That's where all our state tournaments are for Illinois, so it's exciting to get back there and wrestle in that atmosphere in that arena again too.
Assuming you're going to have you're expecting a big following there in your home state?
We'll see. I don't know how much they like me there anymore, but we'll see.
It's the postseason. I mean, it's game time. It's the time you get excited for every single year. The season is, as far as you're concerned, the next event is always the most important, but the postseason is where champions are made.
And the men's swimming and diving team wrapped up the Big Ten championships this last weekend. They set a number of school records in the championships. They set the school record in the 400 medley, 200 medley, and 800 free relay. Grant Petulius set the school record in the 100 backstroke. Byron Butler set the school record in the 200 back and broke a 19-year-old school record in the 100 butterfly. Andrew Marciniak broke the school record in the 100 and 200 breaststroke, and Tyler Lentz set the school record in the 200 IM. Let's now kick it to this week's Play of the Week. When we come back, head coach Marla Looper will be by to talk some softball.
Bloomington, Indiana, Thursday, and the 400 medley relay final of the men's Big Ten swimming and diving championships. The quartet of Grant Petulius, Roman Trusov, Byron Butler, and Jordan Huff set a school record and recorded an NCAA A qualifying time of 3 minutes and 10.18 seconds. One of several school records for the Hawkeyes in the pool this weekend. The Hawkeye Sports Report Play of the Week.
Welcome back to the Hawkeye Sports Report. We're now joined by softball head coach Marla Looper. Coach, you're coming off a very good weekend. You went 4-0 in the Easton Invite out in California, but it didn't come with a little travel issues, and that's kind of been a theme of this year. Talk about that a little bit.
You know, we have had some travel issues, but we talk to our team daily about controlling what we can, and that's one thing that's completely out of our control. We've got to deal with it, and our team has done a great job of just rolling with the punches, going with the flow, opened up with travel woes, so it started our season off right. Guess we can't complain too much. We had 2 seasons leading up to this with no travel issues, so our kids have dealt with it really well, focused on what they can, and just stayed ready.
Talk about you had to go straight from the plane to the field, and then you played number 15 Stanford, knocked them off. Talk about how that all transpired.
You know, we got a flight out of Dallas that got us in at 9 o'clock in Orange County. We were 30 minutes from the park. We hopped on the bus, drove right there, changed on the bus, walked out, got a little warm up, and you know, sometimes if you don't think too much about your opponent, you can go out and get the job done. We spotted them too early, but then we came back with a vengeance, putting 6 up that same inning, and we just held control of it. And our kids walk on the field with confidence and acting like they belong there, so that's part of the reason we're able to get it done.
So you knock off number 15 Stanford, then you have another ranked opponent later in the day. You knock them off. You had to be feeling pretty good after day 1 of the tournament.
You know, day 1 was a good day for us. We still weren't perfect, and you know, no coach is ever satisfied, but we weren't perfect, and there's things that we can get better at. And I'm excited to see where we go when things start clicking on all cylinders, because then the sky's the limit for us. And the kids did a nice job regrouping. We took a little nap in between. We had nap time, just like we were in kindergarten again, and got up, got refreshed, got refueled, and got after it that night against Oregon State.
Day 2, more success, another couple wins, and then Megan Blank was named Big Ten Player of the Week this week. Kind of talk about day 2 in Megan's honor.
You know, day 2 we were facing off with the hometown favorite there, Fullerton, and they were hot. They beat UCLA earlier. They had 2 good wins the night before, and so I was a little concerned going in to face them. Middle of the day, they were excited to play, but again, our girls put 7 up in the first 2 innings and pretty much put Fullerton on their heels the rest of the game. And it was nice to see that to start off our morning. And then finished out with Bakersfield. They threatened at the end, and I was just hoping we could finish and finish a great weekend. And Megan Blank, she deserved it. You know, I think there's been times through her first year and a half now that she's deserved that honor, but a lot of times the individual doesn't get the honor unless the team around them is doing what they need to. And our team did that this weekend, and Megan's been an integral part in our success as well as others. And I'm proud of her and just look for more in the future with her.
And you have a big win streak going into this weekend. You head out east up to Maryland. Kind of talk about how you can really translate the success from California up east.
You know, the hardest part when you have success is to replicate it. And again, we're not firing on all cylinders, so I'm hoping we can get a few things firing together. We go to Maryland, we could have different elements. We won't have the heat and the sun. We could have the cool and the rain and possibly snow. That's, again, completely out of our control. So what we control is our attitude, our effort, and how we approach the game and how we take care of each moment. And I look forward to this weekend being a little bit different challenge and taking it head on just like we did last weekend and building off of that.
Well, Coach, we wish you nothing but the best of luck out
Thank
east.
You very
and
much.
Hopefully you get away from the snow.
Yeah, thank you.
That's where things stand on the softball side of things. On the baseball side of things, head coach Jack Don picked up his 500th career win over the weekend. And the man who had a big part to do with that 500th win is senior pitcher Matt Dermody. He's this week's Hawkeye to watch.
Basically, when colleges started recruiting me for baseball is when I started to get into baseball and just focus on that. and trying to make that my career and dream.
Matt was a very highly recruited player. It was going into his senior year. You know, you're talking about a 6'5" left-handed pitcher that threw relatively hard. We ended up being the third team in the house, and we were very fortunate to get him. He could have gone virtually anywhere. He wanted to go as far as, you know, like I said, Arkansas, Nebraska, Kansas, Kansas State, and you know what? He's a Hawkeye.
Shoot, since I remember, I've been watching Hawkeye basketball games since I was a little kid, and I just loved watching Hawkeyes. And I actually went to a couple of football games, which that was awesome when I was younger. So that I think that kind of got me being a Hawkeye fan since I was born, basically. I wanted to play professional baseball, and right then and there, I didn't know if that was the opportunity I should take or not. But I think I made the good decision and come to Iowa.
Yes.
I've grown tremendously as a pitcher here at the University of Iowa. Coming out of high school, I had a loopy curveball. I didn't have much off speed. Even my fastball's improved a lot since high school. I've developed a slider, which is greatly needed at this level of play. I developed more command and with my changeup. Fielding my position and just knowing the game in general, I've improved a lot at Iowa.
He was ready to sign a pro contract, and it just didn't work out. And I said, what was the first thing that you thought about when you thought about coming back? He goes, I'm going to be around my best friends and the place I love, the University of Iowa. And I think that says a lot about Matt. You know, again, he's a very gifted player, being 6'5", left-handed. You know, and I think some people still feel like he needs a little work on his secondary pitches. And I think under Coach Brownling's tutelage here over the last couple of weeks, he's really developed his slider. It's going to be a lot more consistent pitch for him, and also his changeup. So he was more of a one-pitch pitcher his first 3 years in the program, and I think you're going to see a little different guy here this year with the development of his secondary pitches. He's one of the most well-respected kids. He does very well academically, and really, he's what a true Hawkeye is all about. You know, we're very fortunate to have him back for his senior year. You know, we expect some great things from Matt, and he's shown a leadership role this year. You know, he's not a very vocal guy, but he leads by example.
I lead by my actions and the things I do on and off the field. I try and do things right and help out the younger guys and lead them in the right direction, what they need to do. We have many goals as a team, but I think one of our main goals is we want to win the Big Ten tourney. So then once we do that, we got to win the regional, and we got to win the super regional. But those are way far in advance right now. I think stick in the moment and just focus on one game at a time and winning that next game, winning that next pitch.
The road to the NCAA Women's Final Four begins in Iowa City, and you can be a part of the action, cheering for every dazzling dish.
Nice no-look underneath.
And watching the big shots fall.
Nothing but net.
Experience it live at the first and second rounds of the 2013 NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship.
When you're hot, you're hot.
March 24th and 26th at Carver Hawkeye Arena in Iowa City, Iowa. Adult all-session tickets start at $25. Visit ncaa.com/tickets to make a date with champions.
Finally, let's check out what's going on in the Hawkeye sports world over the next week. As we said, the women's basketball team will kick off the Big Ten tournament Thursday morning at 11:30 a.m. against Northwestern on the Big Ten Network. If they win, they will face Nebraska Friday morning at 11:30 a.m., also going to be seen on the Big Ten Network. Friday, the baseball team will kick off a 3-game weekend against Maine and Port Charlotte, Florida. They will also face Georgetown on Saturday and West Virginia on Sunday. Friday will also mark the first day of the NCAA Indoor Track Championships in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Those will run through Saturday evening. Friday, there will also be 2 events in Iowa City. The women's tennis team will take on Northwestern at 3:30 p.m., and the women's gymnastics team will host their annual Pink Meet and Senior Night at 7 p.m. against Iowa State. Saturday, weather permitting, the softball team will look to keep the win streak alive as they will play 2 of their 4 games on the weekend against St. John's and Maryland up in Maryland. They will play the final 2 games Sunday against Radford and Ohio State. Saturday will also be day 1 of the Wrestling Big Ten Tournament in Champaign. The final day will be Sunday, and that will be broadcast live on the Big Ten Network with coverage beginning at 1:30. Saturday will also be the regular season finale for the men's basketball team against Nebraska. Iowa will look to avenge a devastating loss in Lincoln in which they gave up a 19-point lead. It will be senior day, and that game will tip off at 1:21 p.m. and will be televised on the Big Ten Network. Sunday, both the men's and women's tennis teams will be competing, with the men's team hitting the road to Northwestern for a 12 noon contest. The women will be in Iowa City hosting Illinois. That will also begin at 12 noon. Monday through Wednesday, a few men's and women's divers will head south to Houston to compete in the NCAA Zone D diving meet. That wraps up your Hawkeye action over the next week. With all the Big Ten postseason action going on this weekend, be sure to check out HawkeyeSports.com, the Iowa Hawkeyes Facebook, or Iowa Hawkeyes YouTube page for complete coverage. From all of us here at the Hawkeye Sports Report, have a great weekend.